And we'll finish with Nvidia. Those shares are up about 33% pre-market, just rebounding from those recent losses. That stock is still flirting with that so-called correction territory, off about 10% from its highest closing price over this year. This comes as investors wait for evidence of how it can produce quickly its Blackwell AI next-generation chips. Those shares are still up about 170% so far this year, one of the better performers in the S&P.
Of course, Nvidia is up in the pre-market. Piper today reiterates an overweight on the stock. Chip giant looking to end this slump that has sent its shares, as you know, into correction territory. Jim, you said there's been no change to broad demand at the high or the low end.
And I'm absolutely sure about that. And just the fact that Microsoft got their chips, immediately the wags, whoever the wags are, said, oh, then there must be a demand problem if they got all their chips. That's completely untrue. I do not like, as you know, Carl, an up opening. The people who bought it yesterday at 127, it will be heat-seeking missiles blasting that 133. You need a crescendo sell-off, and we did not have it yet.
You said midday yesterday you thought we might be getting there.
Well, it went 127, 128, but then it went to 130, then it backed right back to 128. David, there are sellers of Nvidia because they've just decided, you know what? It cannot possibly be as good as last year. And I say it's going to be every bit as good. And at the January 6th keynote at CSS, you're going to hear things from Jensen Huang that are going to make you regret why you sold it at 127.
When you say everything will be as good, do you mean the performance of the company, or you actually believe that the stock will also have that kind of performance it did this year? Despite the last 6 months of being flat, we're still talking about a stock that's, you can see.
Well, the stock follows the performance, and the performance,
there it is.
The big problem,
170%.
See, like, people don't remember what it was like when you went from the 386 to 486 to the Pentium. There are these gaps. There are these gaps where momentarily you're not shipping. This Blackwell turned out to be much harder to ship. That's their current chip. This was Hopper, the chips that Microsoft bought. It's not the current iteration, but they're very powerful. And I think that everyone, don't forget, Meta, which is just upgraded, or price target boost, said that Meta AI would be the most powerful. Right now, it isn't. Meta AI, I think it stops in like June 28th of 2023. But okay. The glasses that translate.
Oh, yes.
How about that?
Yes.
I have the other. I'm giving everybody the other glasses. That's my present to people. They don't watch. Nobody watches in my family, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I got the glasses. The ones that
if you have an extra pair, let me. You know, the ones, Joanna Stern is very the reviewer at the Wall Street Journal of all these tech things, very positive about them.
I mean, if the actual Ray-Bans are so cool. You can take pictures, and you can talk to it. You can have a great time.
You've been critical of the information, but they do have a piece up saying that NVIDIA's cloud service could rival AWS potentially one day.
Well, I think they just kind of felt the heat of having never said a single good thing about NVIDIA during one of the greatest runs in history. Other than the fact it's bad, this or that. I mean, they have been, it's like they have a GIX on NVIDIA.
A what on NVIDIA?
A GIXA. Never mind.
Nope.
You're not either?
David looks
okay.
at me.
Yeah, just like every so often he gets it when I don't.
Okay, that would be like me buying tickets to the right now to the Super Bowl. No.
But what jinx?
Jinx, yeah. They just say these things that are just, I mean, it's incredible. If you followed them, you really would believe that company is going the way of EV charging station.
ASIC competition, custom silicone, scaling walls, peak capex.
Custom silicon works in. Remember, Broadcom and Marvell Tech work with the GPU. They can't supplant the GPU. Amazon would love it if Trainium could possibly keep up with the GPU, with the NVIDIA GPU, but they have to buy a tremendous number of NVIDIA GPUs.
They still do.
Everybody does.
We talked about this yesterday. We'll say it again today. Nobody's supplanting it. But again, but you believe that the financial performance of NVIDIA will be equal this coming year to what we saw in 2024.
Now we're through the transition. Now there's music being played in my ear, which says we have to go, but
Let's talk about NVIDIA because it is continuing to fall into correction territory. At this point, the stock is now, take a look, about $133.70. Joseph Moore is Morgan Stanley semiconductor analyst. Good morning to you. Where's the floor? Where's the bottom here? Is there one? And what do you think the fair value of this company really is?
Hi, good morning. So I think we're wrestling with a couple of things. We have this transition to Blackwell. And so your product Hopper, which is still driving the majority of revenues, is starting to slow down, as you would expect to see. And there's a lot of enthusiasm now for custom silicon or ASICs, as you've seen with Broadcom and Marvell. I think those things are weighing on the stock. I still think when you think about 2025 and AI, the story is Blackwell, the product cycle that Nvidia has. I think they're going to have a huge second half of the year. And I think we do have these transitional issues as we're moving there. But I think the stock is very attractive at this level. I'm not going to say absolute bottom because it's volatile, but it's very attractive at this level. I think you're trading at a much lower multiple than some of the AI peers. And I really believe that they actually gain share versus custom silicon in 2025. I'm very excited for this custom silicon trend, but I still think Nvidia can gain share relative to that in 2025 and has a very strong product cycle. We think the stock trades well north of 150 as we sort of move into that back half.
150 end of the year, meaning if we do the holidays again together, Joseph, that we're at 150 then, or 150 6 months out?
No, sorry, 12 months out. Yeah, we're our forecasts, our price targets are high 150s. I think at 12 months out.
At 150, what kind of multiple? What kind of multiple are you putting on that? 12 months out, relative, and how would you compare that to maybe whatever you think the best comps are at this moment?
Yeah, I think we have a mid $4 number in 2025. We think north of $5 in 2026. I think those numbers are very conservative, and we've seen the stock in the low 30s kind of multiple range when there's periods of strong growth ahead of us. And I think we have that. The peers are now trading kind of more like high 30s when you look at where the Broadcoms and Marvells are trading on our estimates. So I think that's a very reasonable multiple. Now they have high margins and they have these transitional issues that you're wrestling with. All of that can continue to weigh on the stock. We may continue to hear some data points about the older products manufacturing starting to slow down, but Blackwell is really robust. Right. And the demand that they have is very strong. Yes.
Tell me your calculus around the China piece of this, because I think one of the other big questions is the tariff story and if that's going to somehow impact this business.
Yeah, well, they're already quite limited in terms of what they can do in China. They have a product called H20, which meets the U.S. export control thresholds. They've done, pretty reasonable volume of that product. But I think we're going to start to see that tail off just because those export control thresholds are so far below the state of the art of what Blackwell is going to be able to do that we're just going to see that slow down regardless. So I think that you're insulated from the Chinese market. I don't think there's a lot of expectations there. I think what you'll see is that a lot of the AI hardware will just be installed outside of China. And, to the extent that Chinese companies are doing AI, they'll probably do that in locations outside of China. So I don't think the tariffs will have a lot of direct impact. I think, Nvidia would like to serve those markets and would like to keep Chinese incumbent solutions or internal solutions from encroaching on their turf. But, they have the export control threshold, and that's what they're living with. And I think that will be a little bit of a headwind next year, right. But it pales by comparison.
We got to run real quick, though. If you didn't buy Nvidia, what would you be buying? What's your top pick for your entire space?
Yeah, well, Nvidia is our top pick outside the whole space. I think beyond that, Broadcom has been a name that we've really liked in the AI space. Obviously, had a huge run here in the last few days, but it's one where we think, Nvidia will outgrow them in 2025, which is kind of funny that we're seeing these concerns. 26, 27, I think Broadcom growth will be quite robust this